Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Gulfstream today. Ron Nicoletti along with Ashley Mayu. And it is just a couple of minutes past noon. Fast main track, firm turf course this afternoon. And partly cloudy skies, but no threat of rain, I don't think, this afternoon. So should be a great day of racing. And Ashley, good afternoon. I was going to say good morning, but we're 3 minutes after noon.
Yeah, we just got past that, Ron. I think hopefully we'll have a good day here today. You mentioned the weather. I think we're going to be okay for today, maybe not so much tomorrow. And we'll see if we can continue the luck. I mean, we had a pretty good day yesterday. I know we were wishing for a different outcome in the nightcap to get home, the Rainbow Six and the late pick four, but maybe we can flip the tables today.
Yeah, I thought we were going to get the Rainbow Six, the late pick four, all of them, but the one horse beat us out. And with that said, let's check out, that was part of the Stronach 5, so let's check out the Stronach 5. And there it is there. That was leg D, 960 with the one horse in there. And everything else pretty formful. You know, I had one horse, $11, which was a great price on that horse. So $717.70. That is truly Overlay City.
Yeah, it's pretty good return. You mentioned the one price was here at Gulfstream Park, Kelsey's Cross. Finally returned to the winner's circle after facing all those stakes races we mentioned before that. I think it was a good spot for that one. And I'm surprised it paid that well. But every week I feel like when we see the results for the Stronach Pick 5, the return's always good.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll have that again next week, of course, with the industry low 12% takeout. And we got a really nice 11-race card today. We're going to start it off with a turf race, which I always like that. 5 furlongs on the turf, claimers, fillies, and mares, 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds and up that have now won 3 in life. 20 down to 16, no scratches or jockey changes. Ashley's going to have 2 pick 5s. No, 1 pick 5, 1 pick 4. Let's look at the early pick 5 ticket.
For the early pick 5 today, changed it up. $24 was the cost. I went too deep here in the first race, just that 5 furlong sprint. I wanted a little coverage. I thought about singling in here the number 3, Henny Penny, but I went to the inside horse, Our Little Devil, as well, because this one has the rail, Paco aboard, speed. Those 3 things mix pretty well together, Ron. Then I went too deep in race 2. Include the Beast is my top pick, is going to drop in class, and I think should be pretty tough in that spot. Today I decided to spread in race 3. I didn't have a very strong opinion in there. $35,000 Maiden claimers. There's some firsters in there that I used out of the Christophe Clement barn, as well as Todd Pletcher. And then the last 2 legs, I went too deep in each of them. The end of the sequence, that's a Maiden special weight event. So most of the field are first-time starters, and both the horses that I used will be making their debut.
A couple of really nice bred horses in that race number 5. Race 1 we'll get back to right now. And we'll start it off with, I don't know which one. You had Henny Penny on top of your ticket, so we'll start there. Does her best ready. She might, you get the 1 like me, so we'll start there. We'll go to Our Little Devil, who has some really solid turf sprints on the go back. Drops, returns to the grass, showed some speed against those 35 claimers going 5 furlongs for Bill Deaton. And as you mentioned, Paco sitting on 2,998. Didn't get the 2 yesterday.
Today, I think he certainly could. Looking at Our Little Devil, Paco piloted this one to the last one. That was 3 starts back. We mentioned the speed. Gate to Wire was in for the $20,000 tag to pick up that second lifetime win. I think last time out, you can kind of draw a line through the race. It was moved to the main track, and I don't think, based on this horse's record, she really wants any part of the dirt. Prior to that, too, she had a tough spot, and she showed that early speed, but she kind of just got tired in the end. She was beaten by almost 7 lengths. So in here, looking at the other runners and looking at the pace scenario, I think she's the type that if she does get an easy lead, she could certainly be tough.
I think the one that's going to sit the trip, if she does get hounded, is the horse you have in second, Henny Penny, who does her best running from that, from off the pace. She'll be there, I think, to reap the spoils if the top choice and other speed horses in that race hook up in one of those duels that we see a lot of times going 5. Kathleen O'Connell, Emissy El Jaramillo in the saddle.
Henny Penny's just the type, too. It's certainly a one-turn horse on the turf course. You can see those 4 starts here at Gulfstream Park. The only off-the-board finish was 3 back, and that was going a mile. Just a very different ball game. Kind of looking at the last 2 races, just getting up for a share. But you mentioned the trip, and I do agree, Ron. I think this one's going to sit off the pace, and if anyone tries to go with the horse on the rail, I think it could set up nicely. And she's always has a late kick. It just hasn't been enough in those last couple, but I do think she's tough, and she's kind of sitting kind of as co-favorite now. I saw she was the favorite a minute ago. Now a little bit more money on the 1, and that doesn't surprise me just based on her recent performances.
Yeah, very early in the wagering. A horse that you have in 4th, I have in 3rd, Charlotte the Brit, is going to change barns so they go to the Joe Orsino barn after that claim. We're going to go back and show you this horse's last horse. You can see what you can glean out of it. First, we're going to show Brit that slamming on the brakes. You're going to see right now, just going into the far turn, just has to, just pull back. You're going to see it any second. Now just had, nowhere to go. And just you lose that momentum. It's so hard to regather yourself and come running. And this horse does exactly that. Finishes second behind a repeat winner. There you're going to see just makes up all that ground. I mean, it's so hard to with that stop and go movement. I like the way this horse splits horses, ducks down, and just closes to be second, which I was amazed. So if you're looking for a horse on your try or super tickets, and this one just kept coming through the lane. So lots of trouble early on. And if you read the small trouble line, also says it was bumped at the start. It really didn't see too much at the start. So Charlotte the Brit, Jose Morales will be in the saddle today.
Hard to recover in any sort of race, but then when you're only going 5/8 on the grass, there's really not much time. So I agree. I thought it was a really good performance, even better than it looks on paper, which it's still a second. But considering the traffic, and you had mentioned nowhere to go, where do you go at that point when you have other horses kind of towards your inside now? You either have to go out or wait and be patient. So Charlotte the Brit, I liked. The barn's a little cold first time off the claim, so that's why I use this one lower on my ticket, just kind of taking a wait-and-see approach. But, if she gets a better trip, what happens? She could be right there.
Well, let's go to race number 2, 6 furlong claimer fillies, 3-year-olds, 20,000 down to 16. I looked at your tickets. I looked at the morning line. I looked at everybody has the 2 but me on top of the ticket, and that is Include the Beast. I did include it, but in the 4th spot.
I think we used all the field except for one run. So, wow, we really don't agree here. Right. Include the Beast last time out, a nice third, even in the end. And you see in those last couple of races, you want to see more of a rally, and we haven't seen that yet. I thought the win here, 3 starts back, went in for the $20,000 tag is what stood out to me. Got the trip just off the pace setter and was able to draw clear in the end, was claimed out of that race for $20,000. Just tougher spots the last 2 times. Now back for that tag. To me, that might be enough to get this one in the winner's circle, and that's why I did use this one on top.
Well, I did go with the 4 Heart of God, who's moves to the Peter World barn after the claim shifts to the main track. Going to get Lasix this afternoon after finishing second. That was, again, similar quality, going 5 on the grass. The barn is really strong. This is one of its best moves with horses going from the grass to the dirt. He's over 40%. And who's riding it? Paco Lopez. So we could have a Paco Lopez early double here. And just playing the statistics with the turf to dirt move, putting the 4 Heart of God on top of my ticket.
Looking at Heart of God, too, you mentioned the Lasix. I think that's a big thing, and has had a couple work since joining the Walder barn. And I like that the second one was certainly a bit of a step up, much quicker. You see that first one, I think they're just having fun in the morning. 53, there's nothing catchy there, but 48 and 3 is a pretty nice tune-up. 2 wins here. They've both come at Gulfstream Park. So I did use this one a little lower on the ticket. But the barn, we talk about this every morning show, Ron. You have to look at them first off the claim.
Yeah, and I didn't know what to do with the one. I know you knew what to do to not put it on your ticket, and that's Roadhouse Blues. This one stepping up to face winners, returned from about an 8-month layup, just crushed the field of 12-5 maidens, won that race by 9 lengths. It's a daughter of California Chrome, certainly going to be tested for class today. Can you put 2 together like that in a row? I don't know.
I'll admit it. When I handicapped this race, I finished the entire card, no lie. And next to race 2, I wrote wide open and had no picks originally. I did look at Roadhouse Blues because you mentioned the maiden score is just dominant. My thing with that, it was even more impressive because it was first off that long layoff, but I'm not sure what she really faced in that race, and that's why I just kind of tossed her out. I went with a price underneath. That's why I used the 3 in here. I think this horse is going to offer some value, but you never know, and it's George Weaver. I mean, he's another one. You always have to look at. He's got great horses. So for me, I just went in a different direction.
Well, that is kicking off the first of 2 pick 4s, so you might have to go deep in it. Maybe find a single a little later on in the sequence. Race 3, we're going back to the grass. It's a mile in the 16th. Maiden claim is 3 and up, $35,000. And as you mentioned, this is a really nice race. You got some first-time starters, one from Todd Pletcher, of course, Mirzaz, who we both had some interest, put it on top of the ticket. I like the workout pattern up at Palm Beach Downs.
That was the main thing here. I mean, we do see a bullet 3 back, just over a minute there, fastest of 8 workers. And you don't see a lot of workers there just because it's a little bit of a smaller facility than when we see at Palm Meadows. I just like that there's consistency in the workout tab, too, kind of evenly spaced works. Obviously, Todd with first-time starters, can't really ignore him. And when Zayas is aboard, they do quite well here at Gulfstream Park, 21%. So I think for me, looking at the first-time starters, I was just a little bit more intrigued by this one. I still use the Christophe Clement a little further down, but this is a pretty nice horse, I think.
Yeah, we'll see how he runs. And a lot of people say, well, he would have taken this horse to Keeneland, but he has so many horses, and they have to run in different spots. And, the board usually tells you with Todd Pletcher first-time starters miraculously. If they don't take money most of the times, they don't run maybe to win that first time out. The horse we used in second, Amon, beating the neck, went second at this level and distance. That was 2 back. Drops, tracked the pace against those 50 maidens for Joe Orsino. He claimed him 2 starts back. He's got Paco in the saddle today.
Last time they had to obviously bump him off first off the claim. They put him in for the $50,000 tag, and the effort doesn't look great maybe on paper, but I don't think he got comfortable at all throughout the race. He finished mid-pack. He was beaten by less than 5 lengths, but he didn't seem too keen of the race early on. So I think on the class drop, considering that, maybe there's more to be seen from him. Mentioned that race 2 back, that Thorn one. He just missed by a neck, and he was part of that early pace scenario, and I think that's a good place to be here because with these firsters, I don't know what they're going to do, but at least I see some speed from him in a couple of his races, and I think getting a good early position is not a bad thing.
I'm going to be very careful here with the number 5 because you know how many mistakes I make on the air. This one is Kick in the Gas. Gas, G-A-S, is $150,000 on the tourist debuting for Christophe Clement. Lasix got a lot of workouts up there on the turf and dirt at Payson Park. Joe Bravo rides for Mr. Clement today, and a horse that if he won, I wouldn't be shocked.
Wouldn't be shocked. He was a $150,000 purchase. You mentioned the works on both surfaces. It's a little flip-flopping. None of them have been really eye-catching, but I don't think necessarily Christophe actually breezes his horses all the time that quickly from what I've seen. He's another one, very reputable reputation with those first-time starters, first turf, first Lasix. You're seeing everything. The numbers are strong. Joe Bravo is climbing aboard, and they're 3 for 10 here at Gulfstream Park in the 2020-2021 season. So another one you have to use. And I mentioned the pricey purchase, too, considering some others in here.
Race number 4 this afternoon, a 6 furlong sprint starter, optional claimer, 3-year-old starter for $25, or the optional tag of $25,000. And Flaming Hawk, we're going to go back, and not much to show you. Going to pick it up at the 8th pole. What I liked about this horse was they turned the horse back in distance, and you're going to see how Flamingo Hawk responds. Seffi Joseph Jr., he's good winning consecutive races. And just, this was like a complete turnaround for me, and I got to believe it was the turn back in distance that really helped this horse.
I agree. I think the light bulb went on, but it was mainly just because of the cutback in distance. Those mile races, this one was kind of tiring every single start, and you see a huge dramatic jump up in the buyer speed figures. Prior to that going a mile, you see a 48 beaten by 14.25. Then they cut back, have this one just off the lead about 2 lengths early on and just crushed the field. I also make Flamingo Hawk my top pick. I mean, if he can kind of replicate that most recent performance, I don't think anyone can beat him.
Yeah, and Edwin Gonzalez has been riding really nice since he's come down from up north, will be named to ride today. So if you like Seffi Joseph Jr., like I do, I used him again in second with Bailey. And this one is making his first start since he really had some trouble against state-bred allowance runners in which he broke slowly. He had some trouble at the half-mile pole. Edgar Zayas rides the old uncoupled entry. I just thought this horse may be able to grab a share, but like you, I like Flaming Hawk.
You mentioned if you don't use the other Saffy horse, that's the one that usually gets you. I decided not to. 2 starts back, the maiden win was nice, and you see the winner of that most recent race on February 5th. That was Real Talk. Finished second yesterday behind Lard Speed. Gatsby came back to win next time out. I just think this horse has had a little bit more time off. I want to see what this horse has to bring to the table. It's been about 9 or 10 weeks, and I just think the stablemate looked stronger. I went one more to the inside to Awesome Beach, who last time out didn't show much at all at that $50,000 level. It was the first start since joining the Bob Hess Jr. barn. So now I'm excited to see this one second off the claim because those 2 prior efforts, they were both wins. At the 12.5 level I've mentioned, it's the lower level here, but then stepped up to the $20,000 claiming level and had another dominant win and has early foot.
Yeah, ridden today by Paco Lopez. He looks like he might get 4,000 wins today if he runs like we seem to be picking him in every race. One other horse I'll touch on very lightly is the one, Floral. It will depart from the rail. Set that pace last time out, finished second to that repeat winner. And I just wanted to mention this because it seems like we have to mention Joshy Jack in every race, every show that we do. And this one was second at this level of distance. Jesus Rios in the saddle.
Now, just making the second time off the layoff, those wins had some time off between them and seemed to do well after having the fall and early winter off. Joshy Jack, you said, we've talked about this horse every day. I'm not going to say anything more about it. But this horse has performed quite well here at Gulfstream Park. Also has a little bit of early foot in the inside draw. And 6 furlongs, I think this is the kind of prime distance for him.
And, you know, must have had 400 horses in that race with him the last time. It just seems everybody was in that race. Let's go to race 1. This is a nice race, the 5th race. 6 furlongs, maiden special weight, 3-year-olds and upward. Got to exact the flip-flop. And I can understand you using the number 5 Gigantic on top of your ticket. He's a son of Street Sense, debuting here for Louis Roussel. And if you were not aware and didn't follow us here last year, I should say, spring, summer meet, Louis Roussel just tore it up, comes in from the fairgrounds. He had an excellent meet last year.
I hope Gigantic is gigantic and just towers over the field in every way possible. The workout tab is what really stood out to me. I kind of looked at some of the other pedigrees. They might be slightly stronger, but this pedigree is still nice. Bullet Drill on the 6th here, 48-1, the fastest of 11. Even looking at this one, was down at the fairgrounds for a bit, and that worked 3 back. I know it's about a month ago, 47-4 out of the gate. That's pretty sharp. So very quick works from this one almost every time, you know, in the morning that we see them. I was just intrigued. I had a feeling, too, looking at some others in here, the 3, the Pletcher, probably is going to take a lot of play as well, and probably the next horse to use. But Gigantic, I think this could be a nice one making the debut, and I like what I see from the workouts.
Well, the number 3, as you mentioned, Meet Me in Kingston, is the son of Uncaptured, and he's a half-brother to Buchero, the multiple stakes winner, debuting for Todd with the series of really sharp workouts showing up at Palm Beach Downs, gets Lasix, gets Edgar Zayas, all the good things you like to see. I got to tell the people here about the number 7. I think it's News Hat. He's another son of Street Sense in here, like Gigantic, but this is a half-brother to the Grade 3 Rampart winner, Latruska, debuting for Fausto Gutierrez, who also trains Latruska, who's really fast. Lasix, Paco Lopez in the saddle. I think you go back and give this horse a second look. If it runs like it's, brother, it's going to be very dangerous in here, I should say, sister Latruska. So News Hat, I think it's pronounced, is certainly on my ticket.
It's another one. You see some sharp workouts. I mean, that's, what you're kind of looking at. You don't have much other than pedigree to go off of. There's 2 things, and, I didn't watch necessarily these workouts, all of them, but this is another one. Very speedy, a lot of bullets. I mean, the only non-sharp workout was probably 2 ago, and then came back 47 flat, breezing out of the gate. Very nice one, and certainly going to offer more value than the other ones that we talked about.
And the horse you have in third, we just touched on it before we take a break. To a 12-volt man is the son of violence. Debuting for Safi, Lasix, Edwin Gonzalez. Need we say more? I mean, this horse has got a chance to run well, and that's why this race is so great. I think it's a great betting race.
Yeah, you summed it up for 12-volt man. I got nothing else to add, Ron. It's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out because, we talked about 4 runners in here, but everyone that, especially out of the first-time starters, these are some nice pedigrees, nice workouts. It'll be exciting.
We're going to take a short break. When we come back, I'll show you my Rainbow Six ticket this afternoon, and we can kick it off with a turf race. I'll be right back.
Second in the 2-path. Ground ball first inside. Race. A quarter of a mile to go, and he's 6 yards out. It's last of the 12 as they roll into the backstretch.
Welcome back to Gulfstream today, Ron and Ashley. And race number 6 is where the Rainbow Six is going to start. It's about 7.5 on the turf. Allowance, fillies and mares 4 and up, started for 25 or less. Let's go to my $48.60 ticket here. And I'm going to tow with a single this afternoon, have lots of coverage. I went 3 deep in here. Really nice race, too, with Kitten's Romance, Real Doozy, and our Callie Kim, who's a little bit of a price. 3 deep again in race number 7. Another fantastic race, which you got your big players in there with Pletcher and Christophe Clement with the 6, the 3, 5, 6 minus. And the single, Causalistic, Sappy Joseph. Horse ran well for 20, drop it in for $6,250. It's the old Frank Calabrese move. He just likes to get his picture taken, so they drop him where they can win. And you see the rest of the coverage throughout the afternoon. Lost my long shot today in race number 11, so I'm going to see what Ashley, you can help me out maybe in that last race today.
Your race 11, I think we're similar, but always a little different in the nightcap. And I got a long shot in there that we'll talk a little bit later. But I think that's a pretty good sequence, and I kind of agree with your single. I think that horse in race 8 should be pretty tough.
Yeah, you know, when you're just trying to get that extra coverage for 48.60. So I have a lot of success when I put a ticket like this together if I can get the single to win. Doesn't happen all the time. As I mentioned at the top, this one on the grass at about 7.5. I went with the number 4 horse in here, Kitten Romance, and so did. So we're going to go back and just show you, before we get into the race, the stretch run of Kitten's Romance, where a really nice performance. The number 7 that day just really closes nicely. Sort of boxed in. We've shown like 6,000 trips like this, but I just thought that this horse ran exceptionally well in the race. For Mark Hennig, you're getting Paco Lopez atop this Daughter of Kitten's Joy. Just thought it was a good performance. Once this horse got some clear sailing, looked like it was well meant coming on, and just lost at the wire. So good performance by the number 7 that day, the number 4 today, Kitten's Romance.
Overall, I liked the trip too, because typically she's been a little further back early on, and kind of looking at the field was just a touch closer, I should say. And, once you mentioned this horse got some room, she had that late kick, and she was stepping up. I mean, she picked up her second lifetime win prior to that. Paco was aboard. That was the first start since leaving the David Duggan barn. Won by a neck, and she's always been a price 4-1 on the morning line. I was comfortable with that. I think that's a good price. I hope we get that. Not sure we will, but seems like it here at Gulfstream Park since coming down here from New York.
And the number 8 Real Doozy, we both have it second here, and this one is turning back slightly, set the pace last time out. Just got nabbed at the wire and went second against those state-bred optional claimers, going a mile last time out for Mr. Peter Walder. I just thought this horse, we claimed this horse a couple of starts back. Adds blinkers today, which I thought might help this horse.
Has early foot to begin with. Maybe it's a focus thing. I'm not sure, but the blinkers on should help. The big concern for me is Real Doozy just kind of gets swallowed up by a little bit in the end. Missed by half a length last time out. Prior to that was a neck, a length and a half. And we've seen that those last 3 starts here all at Gulfstream Park. That's why I use this one underneath. Had a sharp work before that most recent effort and stepped up and performed nicely against those state-bred fillies and mares. But I couldn't use this one on top until I see that win. It's been a little bit, especially at the distance, just those 7 tries and 4 minor placings. I had to use the 4 on top.
Well, what about the 3? I had a little further down. You had a pretty good stat on Senseless Drama. That is from the
Carlos David.
Carlos David
Yep.
one, yeah.
So I'll show you that stat real quick. I kind of was doing some digging on Formulator yesterday. And so looking at horses off the 61 to 180 days, so 2 to 6 month layoff on the turf, wins at 28%. So it's not a huge sample size. It's 18, though, 5 for 18. And he's in the money 61% of the time. So we haven't seen Senseless Drama since late December here at Gulfstream Park. I thought it was a tough group. Finished at 3rd, beaten by 6.5. Prior to that, had a nice second, beaten by 2 lengths. And again, I like Senseless Drama, and looking at the stat, I'm a little torn. I think this horse could probably get up for maybe even second. I did use Real Doozy, but it's another one has had plenty of tries here at Gulfstream Park and is typically getting those minor placings. Does have a win here. We can kind of trickle down. That was back in June, so almost a year ago, but a very, very consistent mare by Big Drama. Look at that record last year. So it'll be our first start in 2021. Looking at her workouts, they're all right, but I think the stat is interesting. He does quite well with these turf runners off the long layoff.
Well, let's go to race number 7, a mile and 8 on the turf. Maiden special weight 3-year-olds. Really nice race. Kicks off our final pick 5 of the afternoon. We both went with the number 6 QF75, stretching out to the 9 panels today after the promising, I thought, 1 mile debut in which he counted some trouble. He got bumped a little bit. Finished 3rd, going a mile for Christoph. Joe Bravo, you mentioned, having a good meet when they hook up together so far at the spring meet. $10,000 son of Vancouver.
Look at the DRF. The stats are there to support it. The debut was quite strong. I like this horse on the stretch out. pricey purchase, $210,000. Maiden second time out, Christoph does well with. I think looking at others in here, out of the horses that have that race under their belt, I know that we do have a first-time starter in here, Title Forces, as well as the one out of the Toner Barn, that's See Out. I think this horse could really step up and has probably the strongest debut out of some of them.
Yeah, Top Pletcher's got a couple in here. I did use the 3 Prayer Book, who's a half-brother to a multiple grade, won a run, happy, returned it to the turf, failed to show much, going 9 on the main track. 6 minus, I was really tempted to put this horse, flip-flopping these two, not say much. I like the 6, but I think 5, 6 minus could run well. Who's the other one from Todd Pletcher?
He's also stretching out. He's going to step up. They debuted him for $50,000 now in that protected maiden special weight level. Maybe they were a little impressed with that effort and thought this was a good spot. And I think part of it too, when the condition book comes out, this is a mile and an eighth, and he was closing very strong. He was towards the back of the pack. It wasn't really a strung out field by any means, but he only missed by a length and a quarter. I like that Prado is getting aboard. Always one of those patient riders that have watched over the years, and he can really get these horses to settle early on and make that late move. So price was right at 6-1 morning line. Haven't seen this one since January, but I'm not worried about it. I think that was a pretty solid debut. Then maybe this colt learned something.
Well, 6 minus, you're ridden by Edgar Prado. You see English Channel 9 furlongs. You start looking again because English Channels love them going long on the grass. Race number 8, a mile. Claim is 3-year-olds or 4-year-olds and up. Nom-1 is a 3. We already touched on Causalistic. I'm going to be interested to see your pick 4 ticket. Did you single this horse?
I did not. I actually spread here, and I like this horse that I understand singling him. I get a little nervous sometimes in these pick 4s. Looking at this horse, obviously, the drop. There's a huge drop here as a 2-time winner at Gulfstream Park, but I also went to some coverage in here. I used the 5 Memorable, who's 12-1 on the morning line, was second last time out while in for the same tag. Non-winners a 3 lifetime, beaten by 3 lengths. And then I used the horse on the outside that's 7-2 morning line. This one's out of the Jorge Delgado barn, a 2-time winner here. Haven't seen this one since November. Looking at the other legs in this pick 4, race 9, I went 2 deep in there. I also went 2 deep in race 10. And then race 11 to me is the race that I'm waiting for. I went 4 deep. I actually used a horse in there that scratched out of the Peter Walder barn. The 5 is out. So I tossed the 1 in Dover Cliffs on the rail. He's getting some class relief and cutting back in distance. But my long shot is in here. I'll save it for later. I like the number 10 Farley a lot. He's 12-1 on the morning line. I think we're going to see a much improved performance from his last start.
Yeah, 5 was my long shot this afternoon, but we'll wait for another day with that horse. Causalistic, we mentioned why this horse is going to take all the money in here. I used Ingridio in second, who's dropping to the condition claiming ranks, showed speed, and finished third against state-bred optional claimers. Tons of gold, I think, has a shot in here. I think these, if they could get around, I'm glad that you used. I too have some concerns, singling a horse like Causalistic, but the barn, this is their angle. More than the barn, it's the owner. So I just thought that was the one to beat. Now let's go to race number 9. This is a really good race. About 7.5 on the turf. These are maiden special weight 3-year-olds, and we both went with the number 4 Voodoo Zip, who's turning back slightly. Just got nipped at the wire last time out. But we're going to go back and show you this horse's race. Just want to go quickly. You'll see he's going, and he's just been in the race. He's just so headstrong. He's so keyed up. He's really got to be throttle back a little bit. And he was like this mostly through the whole race. And then when, he sits him down in the stretch, it's a little better. But if you keep watching him, he just keeps doing this. They want to put the brakes on. He's just really, I'm not going to say rank. I just think he's really keen. And then closes very well, and he ran, to me, Ashley, too good to lose.
He's got some zip to him. You mentioned that early on. I mean, sometimes, you're trying to get the horse to settle because you're trying to give him their big shot, but they don't want to. And he seemed like he wanted to go. And I agree. I don't think he was rank, and kind of saw him kind of getting into the stretch. And that stretch run, he did settle. Right. And he just missed. It was a really big effort considering you saw the jock kind of having to fight with him and say, let's wait a little bit. But that race, I think, is a key race.
Yeah, I mean, just a really nice race from that. Now you got Counter-Strike, and here's making his 4-year-old debut. You mentioned Brendan Walsh a little earlier. He's pretty sharp with horses coming off the bench with this type of layoff.
Yeah, when I saw the long layoff, I decided to do a little bit more digging. So we do have a formulator stat here. This is off the 6-month plus layoff with Maidens. He's 10 for 43, 23% win. He was in the money at 44%. The ROI is $2.24. I was more curious, the long layoff is one thing, but these are maidens. These aren't horses, that have won yet. So I do think that's an interesting number. I didn't use this horse. I knew you liked this horse as well. First time gelding. The debut was very, very strong. Fancy Liquor was the winner. That one needs no introduction. A big buyer of an 82 and just missed by a head.
Well, you did use the horse I didn't use, and that's the 6 Small Talk. Tell me about that one.
Small Talk, this is Sampson Farms homebred, now trained by Gail Cox. Has kind of done a little bit of barn hopping over the last year or two. I think this one has stepped up. Maybe needed some time to mature. I think looking at the races as a 4-year-old, they're certainly improved from a number standpoint and just from placings. Last time out was third, beaten by 3/4, and who was just in front is Voodoo Zip. So I think if you like Voodoo Zip, you have to look at Small Talk a little bit. Paco's going to climb aboard for the first time. Trip-wise, I see this gelding kind of being towards the front, maybe not on the front end, but maybe sitting in like 3rd or 4th early on. Should get a good trip. And now 3rd time off the layoff with a sharp drill at Payson. I like this one.
Yeah, it sounds pretty good. And what odds? Let me see. But 9-2, I believe, on the line. 3rd choice. And then we have the number 2. Both of us have interest in the number 2, Jet Speed, who's the son of Speedster, debuting on the grass for Todd. Lasix. 12 Palm Beach Downs workouts showing in preparation for this assignment. Lots of works. Not totally enamored when Todd starts a horse first time on the turf, but I had to use it on the ticket.
I agree. I think the one thing I noticed is you see all those dirt works, and then you see the turf work. The turf work was better than the dirt work, so maybe they figured maybe we should try the turf here to start. So I did use Jet Speed underneath.
Yeah, the 12 works. I always will back off a little bit. Race number 10 this afternoon at 1 mile allowance, optional claiming fillies and mares, 4 and up, optional claiming price. I think the one in here, 6-5 or 8-5 on the morning line, I believe it is. Don't Get Cozy looks pretty cozy in this spot for Antonio Sano.
Look at the record here at Gulfstream Park. 6 out of the 7 lifetime wins for her. They've been here. That's from 22 starts locally. Last time out, just missed behind Funny Bet by half a length and was closing kind of from towards the back of the pack. But those races, I mean, just ultra consistent. I think has more consistency than others in the field. Numbers stand out. This one looks tough, and the way I structured my ticket, I did think about singling Don't Get Cozy, but I didn't want to get too comfortable.
Well, you know, look at this pad in this horse. I really like it. He had, recent pad. She follows a victory with a narrow defeat, comes back, has a victory, then loses again by a narrow defeat. And today's the good day for Edgar Zayas, so I can understand maybe thinking about singling this afternoon. Our Fantasy is stepping up the competition. She used her patented stalk and pound style. She defeated those state-bred optional claimers, notched her second open-length victory at the distance. She's been good lately.
Very good. She's really liked the dirt here. You know, her only poor effort in her last 4, that was on the turf going a mile, looking for that 3rd lifetime win, and she's picked up 2 since then, and they were both here on the main track. And they've been dominant wins. 2 back, Sense a Million, the runner-up, came back to win next time out. So did the 3rd-place runner. And this one last time out, it was a really nice performance, was favored in that spot, and certainly ran like the favorite. So I did use this one underneath, but this is another one I think. This is a reason I did end up using this one, just because she's on that kind of a win streak. It might be tough to win 3 in a row, but she's been quite consistent so far.
Let's go to the last this afternoon. I want to hear about your long shot in the 11th, a mile on the turf, 4-year-olds and up, non-winners of a race since October 10th, $16,000. I think 4 scratches on the whole car, 2 of them in this race, the 3 and the number 5. We mentioned the number 5 we both had some interest in. Going to wait for another day. You did start it off in here with the number 6, 24/7, as I did, has been knocking on the door consecutive races at this level. A tepid nod for me, Safi Joseph and Miguel Vasquez. I'm glad you went and maybe tried and find a long shot in this spot.
24/7, I think you have to use this horse just because you mentioned is knocking on the door, has been second at this level the last 2. One's at a mile and a 16th, the other's at a mile. But here at Gulfstream Park, it's just always knocking there. I mean, even looking at the last 4 or 5 efforts, hasn't been defeated by a lot, but just can't get the job done. And looking at others in here, there's more consistency with 24/7, but this was a race. I thought about using the 10 on top and taking a stance, and I chickened out a little bit. But I like the 10 Farley in here. I think last time out, going 7.5, took some play in there, just didn't really fire at all. I'm not sure what happened. The pace up front was decent and just didn't make a move. But look at the couple efforts here. This is another one that's been kind of knocking on the door as well at this level. But those 2 runner-up placings in January, they're both strong performances. Dr. Shane won that race 3 back, and that's a nice horse. I think he finished second recently and just missed out here at Gulfstream Park. Dead heated for second and 4 starts back. He's another one knocking at the door, but I think he had some excuses last time out, and I don't understand if you use 24/7, why you wouldn't use Farley, because they're very similar runners. The price is probably going to be juicier on this horse, and for me, this is a sneaky horse. Antonio Sano, we talk about this. always got to look at his horses. And when I see a horse like this, it's kind of stood out.
Yeah, and I love Lionel Reyes, the rider. He brings home a lot of long shots for me, so I like that. So we're up against the time here, so we're going to quickly go to our lightning round this afternoon. And, you've heard numerous times how much we like it up there in Maryland. And we'll start it off with both Laurel and Pimlico got some pretty new websites now. With just one click of a button, you can find everything you want.
It's really easy to use. I launched it yesterday to check it out for myself, and it's a sharp look. It's sleek. It's definitely different than what we had before, and it makes it easier on us.
Yeah, and here's the most exciting thing on this lightning round. We got 2-year-old races in the book. They're going to be running pretty soon. So our first 2-year-old races of the year are in the condition book for next week. So I can't wait for 2-year-olds here. That's our lifeblood during the summertime.
Just think it's exciting, right? You don't know what you're going to see, who these horses are going to turn out to be, especially as a 3-year-old, and you're already thinking about next year's Kentucky Derby and things of that nature. But love watching the babies, especially the progression, too. You might see them learn something in that first start and then come back to win. It's a pretty nice experience to watch.
Well, knowing Maryland like you do, I know you know about this next trainer, Claudio Gonzalez. And what a way. He's won his first 5 starters at Laurel at the spring meet. Just incredible here. And he's like 14-time meet leader up in Maryland. That's a way. 5 starters. He had 3 on Thursday and 2 on Friday. 5 for 5.
He's no stranger to the winner's circle at all, and certainly recently, Claudio has a lot of horses kind of in that region. I know he races at Parks a bit too, and I think with the pause in racing for a little bit in Maryland, he had horses that he needed to run, and well, they all were ready to fire as well. So really big time for him, Claudio Gonzalez. I know Jamie Ness had a really good day when racing returned there just a few days ago. So he's been on fire. So if you bet Laurel today, I think you have to bet Claudio.
You got to look where Claudio is every time you bet Laurel, Pimlico, or any place like that, like you said, up there. Now we got to just want to touch with the NTRA, who their top 3-year-olds are there. And we got some betting interest in here with the number 4, Rock Your World. He's the Santa Anita Derby winner, and of course, Nona Gender, a Florida Derby winner. Have you made any decisions yet about your Kentucky Derby pick?
No, Ron. I can't do it yet. I can't do it. I got to wait until I get a better idea of who the 20 starters in the gate are going to be. I mean, obviously, Essential Quality, he's been hard to ignore. He's been impressive every time out. I really like the performance from Highly Motivated. I know he showed the stretch run. So I think the field's going to be good. I mean, I'm probably going to have to root for Known Agenda. I liked him in the Florida Derby and really nice performance. But that's a pretty good top 10 there. I know, obviously, Greatest Honor's out, but it's a strong group.
Yeah, Greatest Honor is out. And the Wise Guy horse, I'm letting you know, right now is Rock Your World. Everybody in America is going to be talking and betting about that horse. So that is the lightning round today. Really a fun early show for Ashley and I want to say Acacia. I'm so used to having it here. But Ashley, fantastic job once again. We're going to turn it over to Pete Aiello, who does a fantastic job, too.